What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on Mets Central. And the New York Mets win back-to-back series as they destroy the New York Yankees here, 12-6. The offense showing up yet again, bailing out some questionable things from the pitching staff, some questionable managerial decisions, in my opinion, at certain points in this game. But we got to talk about this one as just an exciting game once again. And will this be what finally catapults this offense to be what we have wanted all season long? Because here's the thing, as much as the pitching aggravated me today, as much as managerial decisions bothered me at points today, if this offense is finally starting to take strides into being what we thought they would be, the pitching will get reinforcements. You have Mania coming back. You have Senga coming back. I know he didn't have a good rehab outing, so that means his career is over. But all jokes aside, you have those two coming back. Rayleigh's going to come back in the bullpen. So there's reinforcements. My biggest concern has been, is the offense ever going to take a step forward? And lately they have. With that being said, I still want to see a bit more from the bottom of the order because right now they're not giving me anything to feel comfortable when they come up to the plate. Because Mark Vientos, I mean, every time he steps into the batter's box, you just know that he's gonna, you just know he's gonna go down. Taylor, same sort of deal right now, unfortunately. McNeil's not the same. Just happened to have an 0-for-3 day. I'm not worried about him there. What I'm worried about was just the amount of home runs they were giving up. And again, some things that I didn't like from Carlos Mendoza throughout this game. But leave a like on your way into the post-game show, or if you're watching on replay, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live here on Met Central. I loved this offense jumping on Carlos Rodon early. There was something in the bottom of the first inning that drove me absolutely insane. And thankfully, Brandon Nimmo saved the fact that I would have went, I kid you not, I would have spent almost the entire post-game show probably ranting about the thing that happened in the first inning. So Starling Marte gets a leadoff double because Jason Dominguez does not know how to play left field. That fan base that swore up and down that, oh, we don't need Soto because he doesn't play good defense. Well, Jason Dominguez looks awful out there. Francisco Lindor walks. Juan Soto comes to the plate, and he lays down a bunt. This is what I was talking about. I would have spent a good 10 minutes ranting and losing my mind about this if the Mets did not score in this inning. Because why is he bunting? Why is he bunting with the way that he's swinging the bat lately? I just don't understand that. And especially because Rodon did not have it at all because he could not locate any of his pitches. He threw one pitch in the strike zone up to that point. And he's going up there bunting? No, come on. Thankfully, it didn't matter because Pete Alonso ends up drawing a walk because, again, Rodon just couldn't find the zone. And then when he did, Brandon Nimmo just freaking tanks a slider out to right field to the bullpen to make it 4-0. And they almost added on more because Torrens had that fly out there, but that got pretty close to the that got close to being dropped or just an error from Dominguez because again, he is just lost out there in the outfield. But unfortunately, he ends up making the catch there. But then the Yankees respond in the second inning. Jazz hits a home run to make it 4-1. Then in the bottom of the second, a horrible throw by Jazz lets Tyrone Taylor get on base, and then Starling Marte with a single to make it 5-1. And then Austin Wells, though, in the third inning, he responds with a home run. So again, I don't love the amount of home runs this pitching staff has been allowing lately. It's a little concerning to me. I'm not fully hitting the panic button on that front, but it's a little concerning to me at the very least that this pitching staff is allowing too many home runs for my liking. But we go to the bottom of the fifth. Lindor gets a walk, steals a bag. A wild pitch moves him over the third, and then Pete Alonso crushes a home run to make it a 7-2 game. Nimmo with a single steals a bag. Vientos lines out to end the inning. I don't know how much more he could keep playing Vientos. I really just, I don't know. But then we go to the sixth inning, and this is where my frustration started to build. Even though they had a 7-2 lead, that would get cut down because Montas goes out there and allows back-to-back singles to Peraza and Grisham. Judge grounds out, and then Cody Bellinger gets a double to make it a 7-4 game. Rice flies out, and then the Mets have to go to the bullpen. Montas was only at 71 pitches when he got pulled from this game. I was so annoyed that you had to pull Montas there because I was thinking to myself going into that inning, I'm like, this might line up perfectly. Like, you can maybe get 7 innings from Montas, and then you go to, I don't know, you go to Zach Pop, you go to Richard Lovelady, Rico Garcia, go to those guys because you got a blowout. Montas has a low pitch count. This could line up perfectly to save guys like Stanek and Diaz for tomorrow. That's where my mindset was at, and then all of a sudden at the flip of a switch, it ends up not being the case there. As Lovelady does come in and he gets Jazz to ground out, but then in the seventh inning, you just do not get you don't get the same luck there, and you don't get a good enough appearance here as he allows a home run to Anthony Volpe, which again, Yankee fans want that guy out of town right now. Can't be allowing home runs to Anthony Volpe. You just can't. Then you have to go to Davinsky, who allowed a single and then got a ground out. I was fine with them pulling him, though, in the spot that they did to an extent, though. Or my mindset going into it was, okay, I don't mind pulling him because you got a 2-run lead. But then that all changes in the bottom of the seventh inning because Mauricio pitch hits, gets a double. Lindor with a single to make it 8-5. Soto walks. Alonso gets a home run. Absolute piss missile. Makes it 11-5. Do not even bother going to the bullpen. Let Davinsky go back out there. You might as well. That was my thought there. And after 2 strikeouts, Terrence walks. McNeil gets hit by a pitch. Unfortunately, they couldn't add on to the lead a bit as Taylor grounds out. And then Ryan Stanek comes into the game. I did not understand that one at all. And then here he is with, you're up 11-5. Stanek comes in and is just being way too cute, just throwing around Judge, throwing wild pitches. Ben Rice then got a double, walks Jazz. He gets the last 2 strikeouts, but by the end of it, he was at 40 pitches. First of all, why was he in the game in the first place? Second of all, why was he not locating his pitches up by that many runs? Throw strikes. One of my biggest pet peeves in baseball, and the thing that annoyed me even more, is Edwin Diaz had to get up by the end of that inning. That drove me absolutely nuts. And then we go to the bottom of the 8th, and they drive me more nuts. And it's annoying that I have to speak this way after a series win, but I hate the way, I hate when you just waste reliever, or you have to waste relievers in certain situations. So the bottom of the 8th comes around. I'm trying to understand. Edwin Diaz was already up and ready. Why is no one else ready to go in case? Like, even then, I would not have put Diaz in for the 9th inning if it were up to me, because he worked 2 days, got 4 outs in one of those games, and only had 1 day off. I personally, if it were up to me, I would not have put Edwin Diaz into the ball game no matter what. But at the very least, okay, if you're going to be true to putting him in the game, then at least get someone else up, though, in case you tack on to the lead. And then all of a sudden, after the ground out from Mauricio, Lindor gets a double, Soto gets a single to make it 12-6. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, let's get Zach Pop up now. Why didn't you have him ready to start the inning in case you expanded on the lead? Why did you wait until the last minute to get him warmed up? And he was not ready in time, which because Pete Alonso then goes up there and 3 pitches in, he hits into a double play. So you had to go to Diaz at that point because there was just no way Pop was going to be ready to go. And Diaz was great. It was fine. It just absolutely stinks that you had the waste bullets there on Edwin Diaz with a 6-run lead, especially when you have an opener tomorrow and you might need Edwin Diaz tomorrow. Here's the two ways, though, I could maybe see it justified. And I don't agree with either. I would not say that these are justifiable to me, but these are the two reasons I could think of why they went with Edwin Diaz. Number one is maybe they view tomorrow's game as just, all right, we already won the series, or let's lock down the series by putting Diaz in, secure it. Whatever happens tomorrow, it is what it is. Max Fried's pitching. We're going with an opener or Brandon Waddell. Let's just go ahead and let's just go put Diaz in now and secure the series win. Or the other thing is that Mendoza just does not trust anybody else at all in this bullpen to get him the final outs there, up by 6 runs, or maybe it's a combination of both. Both of those are issues to me because one, that tells me that, I mean, we already know it that the bullpen depth is lacking, but for the manager to not have any confidence at all in these guys is very upsetting. And then on top of that, I don't like the idea of essentially saying, you know what, we got the series win. So tomorrow, eh, we'll see what happens. If we lose, it's fine. I don't like either option. I think both is not a great mentality because to me, and I get it from this perspective too, where it's like, okay, if you go to Pop and then he gets into trouble and then you have to go to Diaz, well, then you're wasting 2 arms. But my counter to that would be, well, this team has just been a revolving door of relievers anyway. Would it really be the worst thing if Pop comes into the game and you have to use Diaz to lock it down if trouble, heaven forbid, ensues? And then you just cut Zach Pop the next day and bring up a new arm? Like, is that the worst thing? I don't know. Again, it might be silly for me to complain. Maybe by the end of tomorrow, I'm sitting here saying, it didn't matter by the end all. Maybe we're sitting here thinking that. But in the moment for today, I wasn't thrilled about that, which it's fine. They got the series win. I'm glad they are winning games. I'm glad this offense is showing up, most importantly. I mean, Mauricio now getting uh getting involved offensively. Marte getting a multi-hit game. Lindor multi-hit game. Soto getting involved still. Pete Alonso obviously really carrying this offense amongst Brandon Nimmo as well, who hit the grand slam, and he's just been on a tear lately. So I'm happy to see that part. But it just, I'm not going to lie to you, I was very annoyed, as you could tell, but I was very annoyed watching the game unfold. And when I saw Edwin Diaz just even warming up, I wanted to throw up because you were up by so many runs to where it shouldn't have even got to the point where Diaz even had to throw in the pen. But hopefully it doesn't matter. And maybe Diaz is available tomorrow. Maybe that's the info they have. And if that's the case, then I went on this rant for nothing. Maybe that's it. I hope that is it. But I mean, he threw 18 pitches. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be available tomorrow. But all I know is that again, I just didn't love the process of it in the moment because to me, I get why you don't trust the other guys back there in the pen right now. I fully understand why. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to at some point in one of these close games because then you're just going to run Stanek into the ground because he looked like he was already burnt out today. And then 40 pitches now on top of that. And Diaz, you're going to run him into the ground. Reed Garrett, you're going to have to trust these guys at some point. And the other problem I have too is if you trust Lovelady to come in for a close game at one point, because when did he enter the game? Or no, my issue is more when Davinsky came in because the top of the order was coming up, and if he got to the point where he had to face Judge that inning because of the three batter rules, I would have also been annoyed there. But if you trust Chris Davinsky to where he might have to face Aaron Judge in a close 2-run game, why couldn't you trust Rico Garcia or Zach Pop with 6-run lead in the ninth? I don't know. Again, maybe they have more info. Maybe Diaz will be fine to go tomorrow. Maybe Reed Garrett's going to be good to go tomorrow for the save. Maybe that's what they envision. But to me, it just, again, it rubbed me the wrong way having to use Stanek and Diaz today when one of them I could have lived with, but I don't know. I think they probably, the best route would have been at least Davinsky goes another inning once you expand on the lead, and then Stanek comes in for the ninth. I don't know. But either way, I'm nitpicking here. I know. I get it. I get it. I sound like a douche right now because they won. We should be enjoying it. We should be happy that they're winning series again. And especially when they beat the Yankees because that makes everyone happy. I know. But these are just things that I still feel like are important to discuss. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Like I mentioned before, leave a like if you haven't and subscribe. All of that stuff. Pablo saying great game. The pitching was hell though. Yes, and giving up too many home runs. Indeed. Definitely giving up way too many home runs. And I get the Yankees have a solid lineup, one that hits a lot of home runs, but they were doing this against the Pirates too, so it's like great game, pitching shaky though. 100%. For the first time in a long time, we could actually say the offense won a series for them. First time this season, I would say. I would say this is the first time this season that they were able to get what's called series win because of the offense. I don't know why I blanked there on my thought. Yeah, I was not happy about that bunt there either. I'm right there with you, Ray. I was very, very annoyed with the bunt. Yeah, this is like the problem here is that you might be going with an opener tomorrow and you don't have two of your better relievers most likely tomorrow. Exactly what I was saying, Pablo, and I know you commented that as I was before I said it, but yes, I don't get why he was trying to like nibble around the zone there. Stanek, that is. And this is the point where it's like, this has been one of my critiques with Mendoza all season long. Is there are too many times where he waits way too long to get pitchers ready. There was two things that drive me insane that he does. That's one of them is where he waits too long to get relievers ready. And the other thing is there are times where I'm like, put Diaz in the face the middle part of the order or the top of the order. And then he'll just go to a lower leverage arm and then put Diaz in for the ninth because we gotta do traditional baseball things. I did not like Buck Showalter. I could tell you the one thing that I liked that Buck Showalter did was that where you would see sometimes Diaz come in for the eighth inning, sometimes even the seventh inning, and maybe even get 6 outs, and then you would see like Ottavino come in for the ninth inning. I don't agree with this though because let's calculate this one. So he threw 21 pitches against the Brewers in the 7-3 win. He threw 16 pitches that other game, and then he threw 16 pitches today. So 53 pitches in the last 4 days. I don't feel comfortable going that much higher. He's worked a good amount lately. I really did not like having to use him today because of that. 53 pitches in the last 4 days. Because you're probably talking about him getting up to 70 pitches in that span by if he goes tomorrow. I don't feel good about that. Don't at all. Because you cannot afford to drive your $20 million reliever into the ground. The thing that I've complimented the Mets the most for this year in Mendoza is they've done a good job with keeping Edwin Diaz fresh throughout the year, not running him into the ground, not underutilizing him. I have felt they've done a really good job in that regard. Tomorrow would be the first time where I would say opposite direction of that. And I know they have the off day, but it would have been better if you were able to avoid Diaz today, use him tomorrow if you need to, or best case scenario, you don't have to use him tomorrow either, and then he gets 3 days off, and you have a fully fresh, ready to go Edwin Diaz in Baltimore. And this is true. On a positive note, yes, that even earlier this week, I would not have envisioned them winning this series at all. I even said it on the podcast. I was hesitant to pick 2 out of 3. I said they would. I said they'd win the first two and then lose game 3. So right now I'm on track to be right, but hopefully I'm not right because hopefully they'll get the win tomorrow. But that's where I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one.